The Arab world remains on edge after Iran vows to cleanse the region of the U.S. military presence if hostilities continue. The Middle East is on heightened alert as Tehran warns that U.S. military bases across the region could become future targets. Tensions spread across the Gulf as Iran says the axis of resistance stands, ready to launch coordinated military action if required. Iran's latest warning rattles Gulf capitals as Tehran renews its pledge to drive U.S. forces out of the region. Iranian Supreme Leader's advisor Ali Akbar Velayati said the so-called axis of resistance was ready to pull the trigger if tensions with the United States continued to escalate. Velayati said resistance forces were fully prepared to cleanse the region of the U.S. military presence, warning that any further confrontation would trigger a swift response. The warning came after fresh U.S. strikes on Iranian military targets and Donald Trump's declaration that the U.S.-Iran Memorandum of Understanding was effectively over. Ali Akbar Velayati said, and I quote, "We had previously warned that the region is not a place for political gambling by small countries. And we have repeatedly proven that adventurism will be met with an immediate response. But the responsibility for the new provocations and the verbal acknowledgement of the cancellation of the memorandum, which had already been repeatedly violated in practice, is once again pushing the region toward fire." Unquote. The advisor said the axis of resistance would not remain silent in response to U.S. military actions and warned that any further escalation would be met with retaliation. Velayati also referred to calls to avenge Iran's late Supreme Leader Ayatollah Ali Khamenei, saying his legacy continued to inspire the resistance front. The remarks came after the United States said it had struck more than 80 military targets across Iran during its latest round of operations. Washington said the targets included air defense positions, coastal radar installations, and Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps naval assets along Iran's coastline. Iran's Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps said it responded with a joint missile and drone operation targeting U.S. military bases across the Gulf region. Iran's IRGC said its naval and aerospace forces carried out a joint missile and drone operation on July 8, describing it as a coordinated strike against U.S. military positions in the Gulf. The IRGC claimed the operation targeted multiple U.S. military bases across Kuwait and Bahrain, saying the attacks were aimed at key American military infrastructure in the region. The statement identified Camp Arif Jan and Ali Al Salem Air Base as the primary U.S. military installations targeted during the operation inside Kuwait. The IRGC also claimed it struck Jafar Naval Base and Sheikh Issa Air Base in Bahrain as part of the same coordinated missile and drone assault. Iran's elite force claimed the attacks hit key infrastructure and operational facilities inside the targeted U.S. military bases, though the claims remain independently unverified. The IRGC said the operation demonstrated that American military bases across the wider region remain within the range of Iran's missile and drone capabilities. CENTCOM said U.S. forces carried out strikes on about 90 Iranian military targets along the country's coastline in a separate operation targeting Tehran's military infrastructure. The U.S. military said the strikes were intended to reduce Iran's ability to threaten commercial shipping and maritime security in the Strait of Hormuz. According to the U.S., the operation targeted Iranian air defense systems and coastal surveillance assets used to monitor and support military activity along the Gulf coastline. U.S. officials said the strikes also hit missile and drone storage sites, naval capabilities, and military logistics hubs as part of a broader campaign against Iran's coastal forces. U.S. CENTCOM said, and I quote, U.S. Central Command, CENTCOM, forces completed an additional round of strikes against Iran, July 8, to further degrade Iran's ability to attack commercial shipping and innocent civilian mariners in the Strait of Hormuz. U.S. forces struck approximately 90 Iranian military targets including air defense systems, coastal surveillance assets, missile and drone storage sites, naval capabilities, and military logistics infrastructure along Iran's coastline. The latest strikes follow successful execution of offensive strikes in Iran the night before. CENTCOM forces hit approximately 80 Iranian military targets July 7, including more than 60 Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps small boats, to impose heavy costs for Iran violating the ceasefire by attacking 3 commercial vessels navigating the Strait of Hormuz. U.S. forces remain vigilant, lethal, and prepared to execute operations directed by the Commander-in-Chief. Unquote. The United States has launched another wave of strikes inside Iran, as powerful explosions were reported across several cities in the country's south. President Donald Trump says he personally ordered fresh retaliation after Iran targeted commercial shipping in the region. Iran has once again come under US attack, as Donald Trump warns that every future Iranian strike will be met with an even harsher response. Explosions have rocked Bushehr and Jask, with reports suggesting fresh US military action deep inside southern Iran. Donald Trump has now vowed a 20-to-1 retaliation policy, promising overwhelming force for every Iranian attack.
We just hit them very hard, and I say we hit them 20-to-1. Every time they hit us, we're going to hit them 20. And we did it last night. They did a little something today, but it was really retribution for last night. They hit actually 3 boats, not 2. And when they hit, we hit back much harder.
Are we returning to a full-scale military conflict, sir?
I don't know. I don't know. We'd win it very quickly. It's another way of doing it. We have many ways we can win, but we've already won militarily. They have very little. They have very little left, and they want to make a deal so badly. They called a little while ago. They want to make a deal so badly. I just don't know if they're worthy of making a deal. I don't know that they're going to honor the deal. That's the problem.
Fresh reports claim the strategic port of Chabahar has come under attack as Washington expands its military campaign against Iran. Donald Trump says the latest US strikes were significantly stronger than previous operations, describing them as a direct response to Iran's actions. The Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps claims the United States deliberately targeted critical infrastructure around Chabahar port during the latest strikes. Iran is now threatening a large-scale missile and drone response against American military bases across the region. Explosions reported across southern Iran have intensified fears that the conflict could spiral into a much wider regional war. Donald Trump has placed Iran on notice, warning that any future attack on US interests will trigger even deadlier retaliation. The latest US strikes have pushed the Iran conflict into an increasingly dangerous phase, with tensions rising across the Middle East. Iran's Revolutionary Guard says the country's air defense systems actively engaging what it describes as hostile aerial target.